What's going on, everyone? Today we are ranking the top 10 Star Wars lightsaber duels. This list will only include lightsaber fights from live-action Star Wars films and TV shows. However, if you're watching this video after December 10th, 2022, there is also a Today's Rankings video covering the best animated lightsaber duels. Be sure to check that one out as well at the end of this video. If you love Star Wars or if you love movies, and if you want to help support the channel, like the video and subscribe for free with the bell notification on so you don't miss an upload. Do it. Lastly, let me know down in the comments what your favorite lightsaber duel is. Let's get into it. Number 10. Obi Wan Kenobi vs. General Grievous, Revenge of the Sith. Nothing quite compared to seeing the cyborg General Grievous simultaneously wield 4 lightsabers on the big screen back in 2005. What this fight lacks in length and technicality, it makes up for with wow factor. At the time, dual-wielding lightsabers was still very new and fresh to Star Wars fans, having been seen for the first time during Attack of the Clones with Anakin wielding both his green saber as well as Obi-Wan's blue saber to face Dooku. There isn't anything in particular about the fight itself that uniquely stands out in memory, aside from the fact from the moment Grievous turns into the deadliest ceiling fan in the history of the galaxy. For most Star Wars fans, the most memorable part of the duel is the lead up to the fight moments prior to the two engaging in combat. We get the ever iconic "Hello there" from Obi-Wan. But memes aren't what place this fight at number 10. The fight itself is somewhat overlooked and underrated. Facing off against one lightsaber is dangerous enough, but it's truly an enjoyable experience seeing Obi-Wan defeat his four-armed foe in such a swift and collected manner. After landing a blaster to the exposed insides of Grievous, Obi-Wan remarks, "So uncivilized," a great nod to the original trilogy when Obi-Wan tells Luke that blasters are clumsy and random, unlike elegant lightsabers. Number 9. Rey vs. Kylo Ren, The Rise of Skywalker. Let the record show that I have no ill will towards the sequel trilogy. While the sequel lightsaber fights don't have the precision of the prequel battles, or the nostalgia of the original trilogy duels, that's not to say they are without their merits. The sequel duels are much more gritty, and the visual detail of the lightsabers themselves, especially Kylo Ren's jagged red saber, is amongst the best in the entire franchise. While the face-off between Rey and Finn against Kylo in The Force Awakens is an awesome introduction to the lightsaber fights in the sequel trilogy, the final clash between Rey and Kylo atop the second Death Star ruins in Episode 9 carries far more emotional weight, important character development, and overall significance in the grand scheme of the trilogy. Additionally, there is noticeable improvement in ability from both Kylo Ren and definitely Rey in this fight compared to their first meeting in Episode 7. The Rise of Skywalker may have the sloppiest plot of any Star Wars film, but this fight was one of the bright spots. It is more than just the ending of this trilogy. It is the climax of Kylo Ren's journey back towards the light from the dark, and even more importantly is mirroring many of the major themes of the entire saga, particularly Luke's effort to redeem Vader in Return of the Jedi. The backdrop of the fight in the oceans of the moon of Kef Bir atop the second Death Star is a very cool touch for all the fans of the original trilogy, and the cherry on top is that we get to see not one, but 2 original trilogy characters showcased in this fight, with a beautiful final tribute to Princess Leia, as well as a surprise cameo from Han Solo. Number 8. Ahsoka Tano vs. the Magistrate, The Mandalorian Season 2. Yes, I'll admit this one is kind of cheating, since the Magistrate is technically using a spear made of Beskar and not a lightsaber to face the former Jedi Ahsoka Tano. But hey, it's a great duel. Ahsoka is one of the most beloved characters in the entire Star Wars universe. The live-action adaptation of Ahsoka debuting in 2023 feels like years in the making. The Mandalorian pays homage to Ahsoka's combat abilities and prowess with a spectacularly shot duel between Ahsoka and the local magistrate of Caladan, Morgan Elsbeth. One nitpick you can make about this fight, a common one amongst fans, is the frustration that Ahsoka seemed to struggle to defeat the magistrate more than you would expect her to. Whether this was because of the unfamiliar nature of fighting an opponent wielding a Beskar spear, the fact she wasn't trying to kill her foe, or for some other reason, Ahsoka is still able to overcome the magistrate and disarm her of the spear, but not before losing one of her 2 sabers. It may be an unpopular opinion, but this is one of my 2 favorite live-action fight sequences since Revenge of the Sith. We'll get to the other one here shortly. The beauty in this fight is the attention to detail when it comes to the source content for Ahsoka's fighting style, and Rosario Dawson does an incredible job bringing Ahsoka to life. After losing one of her sabers, she flips her remaining saber into a reverse grip position, a technique Ahsoka is known for using throughout the Clone Wars. The duel is incredibly pertinent not only to the plot of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, allowing her to give the Beskar spear to Din Djarin, but gives a massive hint as to the direction of the upcoming Ahsoka show and potentially Season 3 of The Mandalorian as well, when it's revealed that her purpose for being there is a search for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Number 7. Obi Wan Kenobi vs. Darth Vader. Obi Wan Kenobi. For a show that came in with a ton of hype behind it, it would have been unlikely that the Obi Wan Kenobi show would live up to all of that hype. Many parts of the show left fans wondering, this is the Obi-Wan we know from the prequel trilogy? What Kenobi may have lacked early on with some of the plot decisions and direction, it earned back the fans with an unforgettable final episode, culminating in a confrontation between the former master and apprentice. It's difficult to pit this fight up against the original duel between the two in A New Hope or the Battle of Heroes in Revenge of the Sith. If the Episode 3 duel is the on-ramp, and the Episode 4 duel is the destination, this epic encounter is certainly the highway that helps us connect the dots. The gritty fight maintains a very separate identity from any other duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin. It is an important piece in the puzzle that allows us to further understand Anakin's heart, or lack thereof, and we experience a growing hatred from the former Jedi firsthand. The dark side has grown in him. The Empire is secondary for Anakin, however. What ultimately matters to him is exacting his revenge upon his former master, and it's palpable in every moment of this fight. After incapacitating Vader and slicing off a portion of his helmet in the process, Anakin's face is revealed beneath the mask. It is truly one of the saddest moments and most memorable lines in Star Wars history. As Obi-Wan apologizes to him, Anakin responds by saying, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." It's a powerful line, one that ultimately allows Obi-Wan to forgive himself, thus allowing him to commune with Qui-Gon, but also forces him to accept the reality that Anakin is truly dead. Number 6. Obi-Wan Kenobi vs. Darth Vader. A New Hope. You can't have a lightsaber duels ranking list and not include the first ever lightsaber duel, right? Okay, I know what you're thinking. The fight is boring, there's not enough action. To be fair, the duel is by no means enthralling, but you have to remember this is before lightsaber fights were about how cool can we make this look. Unlike the acrobatic prequel-style fights or the grittiness of the sequel duels, the original trilogy lightsaber duels were mostly about storytelling and the film's plot, usually with dialogue heavily interspersed. Additionally, Sir Alec Guinness, the actor who played Obi-Wan, was a 63-year-old at the time filming an indie-level sci-fi movie. I think we can cut the guy a break. I am not fortunate enough to have been alive during the release of A New Hope, but I can only imagine how groundbreaking this must have been to experience the sight of a lightsaber duel on screen for the first time. While the clash itself may not have aged very well, the successive Star Wars content in years to follow has only added to the importance of this scene. With that caveat in mind, the most essential piece to remember is how foundational the scene is to the entire Star Wars saga, this ongoing battle between master and apprentice. Ultimately, it's Obi-Wan's sacrifice that not only allows Luke and the rest of the crew to escape, but allows him to become one with the Force as he helps and guides Luke in his training, and in the process becomes, as he puts it, more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Number 5. Yoda vs. Darth Sidious. Revenge of the Sith. What do you get when you cross the wisest and most distinguished Jedi Master with the Dark Lord of the Sith, fighting the Senate in the Senate? Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. The duel opens in a more reserved tone in the Emperor's office with Yoda throwing some absolutely savage lines back at Sidious.
At last the Jedi are no more. Not if anything to say about it I have.
While the fight is certainly exciting, this duel is much more about what it represents rather than the actual duel itself. If Yoda were able to defeat Sidious, the head of the snake would be cut off, thus halting the creation of the Empire. It is the two leaders of opposing sides squaring off head-to-head, one against the other. The two master swordsmen put their dueling skills on full display, literally, as they are slowly elevated into the Senate chamber from the Emperor's quarters beneath. This has some of the coolest imagery of any lightsaber duel in the entire franchise. This one gets extra brownie points from me, as it is only the second time in Star Wars we get to see Yoda brandish a lightsaber, something I relished during the prequel era. Not only is it a battle of skills with a lightsaber, but a display of the mastery of the Force, as both Yoda and the would-be Emperor hurtle various objects back and forth at one another, culminating in a showdown of Sith lightning as well. In the end, Yoda and Sidious prove to be evenly matched, and Yoda retreats into exile after failing in his mission to defeat him. We also learn that the Empire is in desperate need of some better dental insurance. Number 4. Luke Skywalker vs. Darth Vader, Return of the Jedi. This is the second lightsaber duel from the original trilogy appearing on this list. However, this fight, along with the remaining 3 above it on the list, are a very clear tier above the rest. The duel begins with Luke handing himself over to Vader and the Emperor. Ultimately, the fight is a test set up by the Emperor to turn Luke to the dark side of the Force, and, if successful, have him replace Vader at his side. Luke is constantly persuaded through the encounter both by Sidious and Vader to give in to his hatred and use his anger. This especially lends uniqueness to the fight in the sense that Luke is not only fighting Darth Vader, but also his own thoughts throughout the duel. When you watch the opening scene from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin must face the decision to kill Count Dooku, it further elevates the status of the throne room scene from Return of the Jedi, as Anakin's decision in Episode 3 is meant to mirror Luke's decision in Episode 6. The ending to this duel is the crown jewel not just of the original trilogy, but of the entire Star Wars saga. Luke was able to bring out the good that resided in the depths of Vader's heart, making for a beautifully poetic end to the duel, as well as one toasty Emperor. It was love that destroyed Anakin, but also love that ultimately redeemed him. Number 3. Luke Skywalker vs. Darth Vader, The Empire Strikes Back. The date is May 21st, 1980, and you just paid $3 to go see the most anticipated sci-fi movie of all time. The film culminates in a moment that lives on in the hearts and minds of anyone who loves Star Wars. The iconic dialogue at the finale of the duel between Luke and Vader transcends Star Wars and is a major staple of pop culture in general.
No, hang on. Spoiler alert! Okay. No, I am your father.
What many forget, especially Star Wars fans born during the prequel or sequel era, is that the fight that precedes the memorable father-son moment is by far the longest lightsaber duel of the original trilogy. The battle itself is nearly 4 minutes of clashing lightsabers, more than double the length of the lightsaber fight in Return of the Jedi, and nearly triple the length of Obi Wan and Vader's duel in A New Hope. If you're interested in learning more about the length of lightsaber fights in each film, there is a link in the description to a great infographic. The duel itself is Luke's first chance to confront the ultimate evil that Obi Wan and Yoda have been training him to defeat. Outmatched in almost every way, Luke struggles in the duel while Vader attempts to persuade him numerous times to release his anger and join him in using the dark side of the Force. While still reserved compared to the prequel trilogy lightsaber duels, the jump in the intensity of the fight compared to its only predecessor at the time, A New Hope, is still significant. One lost limb later, and we get the most well-known line in all of Star Wars.
No, I am your father.
Number 2. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi Wan vs. Darth Maul, The Phantom Menace. For a film that didn't quite resound with a lot of Star Wars fans the way that George Lucas and the creators had hoped, you can almost overlook all the shortcomings of this movie based on the fact alone that the duel between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul is so legendary. Maul's design was uniquely scary, so much so that despite his being killed off in The Phantom Menace, his popularity amongst fans led show writers to insert him into major roles in both the Clone Wars and Rebels. The unknown nature of their foe, coupled with the potential re-emergence of the Sith, both pushed the movie along towards the film's climax, the Duel of the Fates. Duel of Fates was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The villain had a double-bladed lightsaber. Lightsaber duels went from looking like this to this. A trend that would continue on into the other 2 prequel films as well. Dialogue took a bit of a backseat, especially in The Phantom Menace with an antagonist shrouded in mystery, and stunt work, acrobatics, and high-level choreography became the go-to. While this style lends itself to the appeal of the film with its displays of fast and intricate saber work, you could still make a fair case that meaningful emotional dialogue would further enhance a lightsaber duel. Having said that, the sheer display of skill and precision is simply too incredible to not rank this duel highly. After being separated from Darth Maul and Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan is forced to watch in horror as Maul cuts down his master. We as viewers feel as though we are with Obi-Wan as he nearly loses his life, ultimately defeating Maul, or so he thought, using his dying master's lightsaber. And how could we go without mentioning the brilliance of John Williams in his creation of the score for this scene? It perfectly matches the energy of the fight and keeps viewers on the edge of their seat. The Duel of the Fates is not only iconic, but also important pertaining to the entire saga. This unknowingly is Anakin's first step towards the dark side, by losing the one person who advocated for him most and believed him to be the chosen one. Before we get to the number 1 lightsaber duel, here are a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite lightsaber duel is. Number 1. Obi Wan Kenobi vs. Anakin Skywalker, Revenge of the Sith. How can you get much better than this? The former master and Padawan facing off on the molten planet of Mustafar to determine the fate of the galaxy. While the prequel trilogy may turn some Star Wars fans off, this lightsaber duel is beloved by nearly all Star Wars fans. What sets this epic battle of heroes apart from the Duel of the Fates and other Star Wars duels is not that it only possesses the highly fast and technical aspects familiar to the prequel trilogy, but also inserts deep emotional portions into the duel, specifically prior to its beginning, near the end, and after its conclusion. You feel Anakin's anger towards Padme, towards his former master, and within himself. This is also by far the longest lightsaber duel in any Star Wars film, nearly 12 minutes long. However, this fight never seems to drag. The high-stakes, fast-paced nature, accompanied once again by a great score from John Williams, elevates the flame-engulfed fight into legendary status. Obi-Wan begs Anakin not to try anything as he has cemented himself on the high ground. Anakin refuses to listen, and as a result has both legs and an arm severed. His journey towards the dark side is complete, as Anakin actor Hayden Christensen screams, Obi-Wan actor Ewan McGregor delivers a truly heartbreaking response.
You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
We see before our eyes the transformation of a boy, a Padawan, a friend, into the galaxy's most feared mechanical monstrosity. Revenge of the Sith gives us an over-the-top confrontation filled with fast-paced action, skilled lightsaber choreography, memorable lines, and complete tragedy as we witness two emotionally tormented former friends attempt to best their brother. And for these reasons, the Episode 3 duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin lands at the number 1 spot of today's rankings. Check out the videos on screen. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell to know when the next Today's Rankings video goes live. Leave it a like and comment down below. What do you want to see ranked next? This has been Ben for Today's Rankings. Have a great day.